Hello there everybody, you're the audience. My name is Supersonic Blur and welcome to a slightly different video. Unfortunately, due to a couple of technical difficulties over the past couple of weeks, the OCL League has not necessarily been able to get enough members with casting and production side of things to go over some of these games. So I thought, hey, if I can get hold of any of these games, I can at least give you something for you guys to look at. So that's pretty much what this is. To anyone who's watched the OCL, welcome to the channel. Anyone who doesn't know what the OCL is, I'll do a quick rundown. The OCL is the Obey Community League for Smite. We've been running this now for around 10 weeks with a multitude of teams that are in. We're currently in, I believe, our 10th-ish last week since the World Championships. I believe we're actually on week 11 now because we had the bye week for Worlds. So we're going to running in with a bunch of those things, and like I said, I've got a couple of games that I'll be coming through and trying to cover as it currently stands. So we'll get a look in on those, and then once we're in, well, we got picks and bans, and then like I said, it's just me here, so I'm doing camera and voice and everything, so you're in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. So without much further ado, let's get into the first game. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in game. So here we are. We have our first game will be between Where's the Claw and also as well, I believe this other team is Dallas Asylum. Yes, Dallas Asylum will be taking the order side here. Where's the Claw over on the right-hand side. So picks and bans wise, still running fairly standard bans. I believe we are running on the current patch that just went live, so Freya is in a reverted state, but Thor and Isis are still both fairly strong, so they're going to be banned. Fuzzy Wuzzy, Gilly TV, Day Raven, Foxy Maid, and Velvetier will be making up the side of Dallas Asylum. Fuzzy Wuzzy, I believe, is the mid laner, although again, it's been a while since I've seen this team cast, so they may have shaken some things up. Freya ban, as I said, she's been reverted back to her old state of 2014. However, with the current items that are in the game, which old Freya did not have access to, she is definitely very, very strong here, so it's a safe ban to pick away. Going down the side of Where's the Claw, this side I do know a little bit more about. Makamurf, the solo laner, also one of our casters over on the side of the OCL. Big Rick 20 is a fantastically hype player coming out from the jungle. He feeds a lot of energy into their plays, so if we see this team pick off or start up going big, expect Big Rick to facilitate a huge amount of this as well. And then from there, everything else kind of sits around it. Silent Aces is a great mid who's played around with them as well. So all of this, generally, the way that Where's the Claw has played this is it's kind of been, they feed momentum in, and as soon as they get a little bit, they are able to exponentially expand off of that if they've got off well. So picks and bans wise, fairly safe. Amma and Persephone have been banned out, as well as the Oleron. Does leave open the Jormungandr, which will be the first pick, which again, this is just the solid safe pick. I want to pick something that has fine team fights, doesn't necessarily lose lane, can hold fairly well against most things. This is your safe first pick. I don't want to give anything away. Let's just grab something that's totally safe. It's kind of interesting to see how the Jormungandr has become this sort of solo lane standard safe matchup. Before, it used to be things like Solo Beck we used to see was quite common, or even things like the Osiris, very, very safe, but there's not really too much that Jormungandr can't facilitate. He is very much a sort of jack of all trades, so how that's facilitated I'll be interested to see. The Circuit pick for Big Rick here, absolutely love this choice. It's a really solid, super safe pick and just sets up a lot of potential ganks, and also as well, it's just super solid when Big Rick picks this sort of thing up. And with the Kukulkan in the mid as well, that lockdown potential with the Cobra's Kiss, the Last Breath, even if it's just into the Whirlwind, Kukulkan Whirlwind does seriously silly numbers, as we currently see, thanks to the buff for Kukulkan. So now, back over the way of Dallas Asylum for their two picks here. There's certainly some good things up. I love Geb. If anyone's ever listened to me talk about Circuit, one of my favorite matchups into Circuit is Geb, just because of the shield. But instead, they are going to pick up... No, they are still going to pick up the Geb. They will also lock in a Humbats, which I like this just to try and abuse against the Kukulkan. No CC immunity in that kit. Take away the Geb, who could also help peel for it as well. This is a really strong core late game into the team fights. You've got Jormungandr who can dive very effectively, Geb who can set up peel and help provide further dive, Humbats who can spread out a team fight when they're picking off targets. Really solid in the later stages of the game. Still missing their mid, and also as well their hunter, unless we see something particularly crazy with these positions on these gods. But I really like this. Late game, I'm looking at Dallas Asylum. Any team fights that occur in the jungle, really gotta worry for Where's the Claw right now. So they will round off their first picks with the Kumbhakana. And again, it's sort of the same idea. It's lots of peel set up for this Kukulkan. And again, I love it. This is the core that we're going to see that 3v3 in mid, more than likely. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Poseidon bans coming through, just shuts down all the cripples. It's also a nice big setup off the Geb and the Humbats. Interesting to see the Chungar ban. Now, I believe this is more of a targeted ban at Makamurth, who I'm pretty sure has a fun little affinity for the Chungar themselves. So taking that away, it's not necessarily a bad matchup into a lot of things. It's a lack of kill potential for the solo lane, and because of the way that Jade Bunny works, you can not necessarily go for the teleport, which means that you have access to shells, sprints, as you know, another teamfight relic outside of the teleport. So I like this. The Jingwei ban, again, it's just something that's super safe. There's no real issues here. Aura, interesting choice. They don't want to necessarily give the Hunter lane matchup any issues, or potentially, if they really want, they could put this Kukulkan in the ADC role and then move that Aura to mid. Either way, with the Circuit, with the Kumbhakana, there's a lot of damage setup that's available. There's a lot of CC, so you stick an Aura in there as well who wants to just fight, you're totally Gucci with that. Hachiman comes through though, so I'd expect to see that in the Hunter position here for Where's the Claw. Now they just, I believe, are looking for their solo lane, so they're going to leave that for the last matchup for Makamurth. Meanwhile, though, the last two picks, we're looking for an ADC and a mid laner here. There's a fair few still available. Things like Onher are available, which you could run either of the two options. Merlin's available as well for Foxy Maid if they wanted, but they are looking more of this Thoth here, which I don't mind the idea of the Thoth. This idea of, alright, if they're going to just sit on top of you and CC you to death, well, if they're going to do that, just be around a corner where they're not going to do it. It could work out fairly well. Again, it's a huge, great big ultimate that sets off really nicely. And that Xbalanque signs up something very beautiful here. Darkest of Nights, even though, yes, you don't get stunned if you're still moving at the end of it, it's still team-wide lights out. That is really strong, especially into this comp where there's so much dive and you've got two gods who can sit outside of the area you can see in the Thoth and the Xbalanque, pelting you with long-range damage. That could set up a lot of potential for the Dallas Asylum here. And last pick, oh, how far we have fallen. The King Arthur, once considered the top pick, top ban notoriety, now makes his way all the way through the 10th pick. And this matchup into the Yorm, while not particularly great thanks to Immovable, is still fairly strong, and I like it. It's another, this is a god who doesn't lose lane. This is just a god who, in the late game team fights, will isolate one player or a couple players, keep them busy, thanks to the addition, the constant healing, the ultimates that are available, the cripples, the slows, knockups, all those really nice things. It's very much sort of Sun Wukong 2.0, where you get into the backside, you do a bunch of damage, and then you just sort of keep the damage dealers busy, which means that no matter who it is that's trying to dive in this comp, there's a lot of potential for it. So I really, really like this. So those are picks and bans for these comps. I think it's a difficult comp to start giving away who I would prefer here. I think all in all, I prefer Where's the Claws a little bit, just because we see Big Rick on this Saket. You've got Kukulkan as well. That is a lot of damage potential. I'm not seeing Dallas Asylum fighting too hard early. They've really got to wait until they start getting through the teamfight phase, and they have a lot of good late game. But can they get there without falling too far behind? Humbats doesn't do anything until he's level 5, and even then, it's just the CC. Geb, notoriously one of the most common Guardians to be played from behind at a disadvantage, but kind of designed for it. Thoth, again, very much late game build-up for these things. There's not really any spark to hold down the fort. The best you've got is a Jormungandr, and against King Arthur, there's still very little kill potential. So I'm looking more for this, for Where's the Claw to be the ones to start trying to initiate things earlier on, with Serkets into Whirlwinds, Mezes into Whirlwinds, Zephyrs, even Ho Yi can start trying to take some fights. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on here. But that's all we'll do for the breakdown. Now, give me about a moment and we'll get on into game. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, we are into Game 1 between Where's the Claws and Dallas Asylum. Mid lane, already we're seeing a little bit of a grouping here from these guys. Excuse me whilst I try and rework everything on the old controls. It's been a while since I've done it, but a little bit of a grouping here, not too much of a problem. We do see, though, over this left-hand side, we are going to see Silent Aces looking to try and invade on this Kumbhakarna. So, already just trying to continue on these strats that we've seen earlier on from the SPL side of things. Though Jormungandr is around, they are still just kind of getting pincered. So, again, we will just see Silent Aces quite more happily move away. We do see the Kukulkan here is actually going to be helping the Serket on the speed buff here. Something we haven't necessarily seen for a long time. And I kind of like this, as we actually see it's going to be the Xbalanque in mid, and this is something that a lot of these Xbalanque players we've seen do, is you want to throw the Xbalanque in mid because branching bowlers enables you to get a little bit of poke. Look how far Silent is having to sit back in this current situation. They do get a good bit of poke, though, in return, but they had to sit so far back already in this situation as now Kumbhakarna, again, just constantly trying to sit on top of Gilly TV here, not letting them get away with absolutely anything. If we have a look at the XP graph, as we do, we'll go Golden Hand. Gold per minute's fine. Either one of these two is totally fine, doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, they're going to just try and stick around for this invade here. They aren't successful in grabbing it, but look how low Humbat's already currently finds themselves. They will get put a little bit lower here as Makamov has made a rotation. Can't quite find it. Nice knock-up, though, coming through from Foxy Maid. But the route might just be a little bit better. Can they find it? No, not quite available right now. Do they have the Sundering Strike? No. Blink is totally fine. Xbalanque gets them away. And that's a lot of time spent not farming. Meanwhile, the rest of Where's the Claw have been trying to just do what they can, pushing up, out, and around here. So, not necessarily a kill has found its way over, but they're just looking for something right now, Big Rick. This is what I expected to see from them already going into this game. I'm expecting them. They're the ones who want to try and put the pressure on. Meanwhile, in mid, Silent ends up picking up Dayraven, and now Fuzzy Wuzzy might be in a little bit of trouble. Oh, sorry, VEL tier 0. I'm going to call them that name. I'm awful with names. I'll 100% admit I'm really bad with names, so you can expect me to be god-awful with names. If you have a name that is not as simple as Foxy Maid or Gilly TV, I will say it wrong. That is the curse I bring with casting. That is my specific caster's curse. If you can pronounce your name wrong, I certainly will. Still, though, Where's the Claws getting their first pick and putting it on the Kukulkan is absolutely fantastic. Not even an assist coming through from Silent Aces, so that just looks like a complete overextension coming through from Dallas Asylum, trying to put a bit of damage through into Silent Reveries. And yeah, really nice look to see. They've gone for the tier 2 Book of Thoth start, the Book of Souls, so definitely going to be trying to rush that additional mana, just because of the fact that if we have a quick look over Kukulkan here and what their passive is, for those who don't necessarily, you can't look at passives. You can't look at passives, unfortunately, but Jewel of the Wind, I believe, is the passive. You gain bonus 5% power based on your maximum amount of mana. So that is why, even with just that 55 power and the red buff, we can see that, you know, there's 100 power is mid. Bit more of a fight's going on. Get put fairly low thanks to a Cobra's Kiss. But unfortunately, nothing more will come from it. Geb, as I mentioned before, notoriously one of the more common Guardians to see being played from behind. His peel potential is there, but it's all fairly slow to get online. He can't necessarily set up huge amounts until the ult comes online, much like this Humbat. So I've been expecting to see these guys power farming as best as they can. But graph-wise, they've done well to keep it fairly close. They've kept it barely around that sort of 500 gold mark between where everyone is. Solo lane. If we could take a quick peek over to the solo lane while we have a little bit of a lull. Jormungandr versus King Arthur. I talked a little bit about how this isn't really a matchup that either of them outright wins or outright loses. It's just more of a match where they're both trying to absolutely farm fest. That little bit of aggression, though, coming out from Foxy Mate. On for the buff. Oh, unfortunate there. Makamurf throws out the Excalibur's Wrath, but Jormungandr cannot be knocked up. So he's knocked up, banished, pushed, pulled. None of those things will work. Instead, just the slow. So unfortunate. This might be a little bit of a turnaround potential for the Jormungandr. They have a lot of health potions here, and they haven't really used them, which surprises me a lot in this matchup. They also as well opted for the Guardian's Blessing, so kind of expecting to be on the back foot here with the Jormungandr. It almost feels like it's setting themselves up to fail, as over on the left-hand side, we saw a little bit of a man fight go the way of Fuzzy Wuzzy. Very nice work. I believe that was actually Hachi who'd started being aggressive. They were playing much further up, sort of. They were sat around here. They dashed in and they got fairly close with ults, but unfortunately, Fuzzy Wuzzy, was he able to get the kill? Yes, he was. There's mid. Darkest of Nights comes out. They're looking to try and pick something off. Blink's available for the Humbats, so they've got it. There it is, onto the Kukulkan, who gets pushed very low, but a beautiful yawn disrupts everything. Expal just wasn't quite close enough to be able to follow up with that, unfortunately. So now that's two ultimates down and a blink expended. Silent just gets away with for nothing. The beads had already been forced, but even still, they got out for completely free. Mid, now Epic Uppercut comes through, puts Xbalanque incredibly low. Zephyr's just off the mark, but instead, King Geb walks back in. Her last breath is good. Big Rick with that Big Rick energy comes in with a second kill for the team and turns around Dallas Asylum's team fight in the mid lane. Back over in the solo lane, we see King Arthur, Makamurf here, has now gone back online and did get enough gold to come back with the full Gladiator shield. Now this lane is a little bit more difficult for the Jormungandr to try and deal with here. They haven't back to base themselves, so they should be sat on what I would imagine would be the full Jade Emperor's crown here, but they're still sticking around here. If they're not careful, they will die in this engagement here. Only about 150 to 200 health available. It's over, and there we see, that's what I was looking for on the map. Big Rick coming over, picking up another kill. Beautifully well timed there. And that's just paying attention to the fact that someone hadn't based. And again, left-hand side, Geo had just done a fantastic job poking out Fuzzy Wuzzy, and again, picking him off. This is what Where's the Claws like to do. They get an inch, they take a mile. Sure, Hachiman lost the last 1v1 to Fuzzy Wuzzy. Is that going to stop him doing it again? No. And now he's just secured himself a little bit more of a level lead as well to just really try and help facilitate that. Ward-wise, he knew he was in no trouble. He would have seen everyone and everything going around. He really wants to try and keep this though down. Darkest of Nights comes through as a defensive play, which is a little bit unfortunate there. Now that's down. Beads in mid as well are also down. Could be a pincer maneuver here on this Geb. Last Breath is available as well, but there comes Serpent and the 9 Winds. It hits two of them as well. Geb sprints to try and get people away, but he's not able to successfully do so. Rollout will get him enough distance, but they've just led Xbalanque round on a merry goose chase. Fuzzy Wuzzy did pick up a 1v1 solo kill. Jesus, these side lanes, these ADCs really, they're just going at it consistently in lane the whole time. Neither one of them wanting to give the other even so much as an inch in lane. But all in all, I believe a 1-for-1 in exchange. Geb falls, and unfortunately, Dallas now falling ever so further behind. That gold lead now is starting to creep away from them in an unfortunate situation. Xbal looking to try and poke off Kumbhakana. Can't quite do so, but will get his blink. Just nicely timed as well. Good reactions there coming out from Silent Aces, as they might actually be looking to try and invade on the red buff, but that was already down, and Humbats without ult. I'm not sure on what that one was there, Chief. I don't know about that. As we come in now, just up to 9 minutes whereas the Claws have managed to secure themselves a foothold of about 1100 gold, which isn't too bad. I would like to see at this point Big Rick try and take a swing over to this left-hand side. Both of these two have been incredibly volatile in lane, and both of them willing to engage in a fight. So because of that, I really feel like Big Rick could take advantage and abuse this situation, as could Gilly on the exact same time. So I want to see both of those two turn up to this left side lane, because Fuzzy Wuzzy goes aggressive. Yeah, that's time. That's totally fine. Like, that's to be expected. Hachi goes aggressive. Yep, that's also to be expected. So it wouldn't be out of the blue to see either one of these two push up, and then there also to be someone else ganking at the same time. Mid. A little bit more just this 3v3. And again, I really do enjoy seeing this 3v3. It's very nice as a solo kill from Makamurth. Very nice look there. Foxy Mate didn't even go for the ultimate, and this surprises me a lot, seeing how this was a lane I said they didn't feel that they necessarily would lose, but I think this Guardian's Blessing not being able to be as tanky and sustainy as consistently, it feels like Foxy Mate has put themselves in a position where they are behind because they thought they were going to be behind. As in mid, we see a big fight going the way. Both Guardian ultimates have come through, but Big Rick's already fallen as well. Gek picks up one, and then actually finds a double kill. Sprint was already used as well, so it's a 2-for-1 in exchange, and a red buff on the table, but Final Judgment comes through. Fuzzy doesn't want to give this up. They're still healthy. In fact, they're actually going to evade and punish in. Pick up the Kumbhakana, who gets low, but they still have the Sleepy Time passive. 7-9 Winds cuts off the path. The Ijutsu with the stun. And can he find the basics? No, but the Whirlwind will cut off the retreat. That's a 3-for-1 now. They might not like it. 3-for-2 in exchange as Dayraven finds their way back in. Slipped through with the Rising Jaguar, and is still going on the chase. Dallas Asylum may be down, but they're proving that they certainly aren't out. Interesting build path here from the Hachiman while we have a short little lull in the action, or a small breathing point. They've actually decided to opt here for the Devourer's Gauntlets, and usually we've seen Hachiman go for the option of the Transcendence just because of the fact that you've got 3 or 4 abilities which you can effectively use to do large amounts of damage with fairly high scalings as well on all of them. Iaijutsu hits twice, so there's 80% scaling, 95% scaling, 45. Alright, it's not great, but then you've got as well the Eagle Eye as well with all your basic attacks, which is an extra 100 scaling on all of those, so that's all pretty strong. But I like this Devourer's Gauntlets going in, as we do see 2 separate fights going on left-hand side. We'll see a re-engagement as Big Rick picks up 1 in the mid lane in the 3v2. Hachi forced into the mounted archery will get away. Big Rick actually doesn't look like they died. It was Dayraven who got picked up, and there's the epic uppercut. Gilly TV falls. 2 members falling for nothing. Dallas Asylum not able to find anything in that there. At first I thought it was Big Rick who fell, but no, it was actually Dayraven who died to Big Rick, which looked like an aggression under the tower as well. So really nice work coming from them. Would actually not be too surprised to see them maybe swing over towards this Gold Fury. They've got a lot of the path options warded right now. Let's take a quick peek over there. We've got, 3 current wards around for them, all of which are sentries, so they'd know fairly well who's going to be where and what. But no, instead they will look to try and aggress onto this red buff. Only Silent Aces is here for now. But there's the evade and punish, and they should be looking at this and trying to go on them instead, but no. They will just back away. No one else is really here. Cobra's Kiss, though. Big Rick looking to try and put some damage through. Aces round the back. Finds the Kukulkan isolated and alone. 1 basic's all they're going to need, but they're going to strip straight back into the way of Dayraven. Unfortunately there, where's the claw? A misstep that's not usually common seeing from them there. They end up leaving Silent all on their own to just get picked off for a red buff. Though, the slight rotation into the mid lane with this power play that they have available to them. Humax is going to base, though. Look to try and get a little bit more damage onto this mid lane. Force a rotation over from their Hachi. They do fire off the ultimate for the Final Judgment. It gets the Kumbhakana low, and Fuzzy Wuzzy threads the final Hieroglyphic Assault through the wall to pick that one up. But this overextension might cost them. Circuit's here. Good taunt, and the mounted archery setup is fantastic. Iaijutsu under the tower getting pelted, and now the Geb crumbles to dust. 2 for 1. The tower stands as well. Nice work coming out from Where's the Claws. And now they might be looking over towards this Gold Fury, which is pretty decent timing as well. Final Judgment is down. They've still got wardings for it. Kukulkan is back up and available with ult, but they aren't even going to need it. Where's the Claws secure the first Gold Fury at 14 minutes in and start to push back that gold lead now. And this graph shows some interesting things. We see how Dallas Asylum, they've been holding, but it's been these sort of chunks that we see Where's the Claws. And it's all these sort of team fights where you'll get 2 for 1s, 3 for 1s in these instances. Dallas Asylum are fighting when they need to, but just because of these small edges in these engagements, these small little engagement intricacies that Where's the Claw is doing, where they are grouping, they're timing their CCs, they've got the ward coverage around them, they've been able to hold this fairly well. And then we saw that last bite back from Dallas Asylum, but then it led to an overextension, and so it cost them back, and it cost them the Gold Fury as well, as now all 5 members, or 4 members here, are looking to try and push over on this right-hand side, seeing 2 members, including both ultimates, extended from Dallas Asylum. They do get the tier 1 tower. They're looking to go a little bit more aggressive. The evade and punish in. The question is what are Where's the Claws going to try and do in response? They're still over around this solo side, so they could look, if they wanted, to try and go for this Pyromancer. Instead, though, they might be looking for a kill here. They're going to root off the Kumbhakana, force the Darkest of Nights, and that's enough to disengage on that, and I like it. Big Rick, round the side, will get themselves an invade off. Doesn't have Blink available, which is interesting. Instead, they're just going to back off right now. Might be a little bit of trouble as they get poked out and abused here, but totally fine. I'm very surprised to see we didn't see any real ultimates or attempts here come out, as Humbat's forced to ult defensively, as was Foxy, but they're going to try and use this to turn it around a little bit more. They don't quite get anything off it, so a strange lull which could have come from more. Dallas, I really feel, or Where's the Claws, really could have tried to extend out for the Gold Fury instead. Trying to look for kills instead onto the Jormungandr. Really just try and secure that win in lane, and Makamurf will secure it with the Sundering Strike. Mid lane now, though. Xbalanque trying to be aggressive, or get aggressed on. They will use the Aegis and then walk back into lane to try and get through a little bit of damage, but nothing really available to them. Like I said, I'm so surprised they didn't go for the Pyromancer. It was up, it was available, 4 members around. They could have bursted that down fairly quickly. Though, then again, this is Big Rick we're talking about here. Big Rick likes to fight. Makamurf is fine with fighting, and this is one of the few points where Where's the Claw can suffer, is you get this instance where it goes from, alright, we're winning, we're fighting, we're winning, we're getting objectives, we're winning, we're fighting, we're winning, we're fighting, we're winning, we're fighting, we're fighting, we're fighting. You stop winning, you stop farming, and then you start losing the rug out from you. Even though 3-1 and 5, Dayraven 3-3 and 1, same level, reasonably similar in farm as well. You know, there's only 1 level lead in the support. There's only 2 level lead in the duo lane. You know, this lead that Where's the Claws have isn't so much that they are infallible and they could lose out if they stop getting enough farm available to them. As Saket wrapping around the backside, Blink Epic Uppercut comes through, but it's not able to find anything, but Xbalanque ends up juking back into the damage from Serpent, and the 9 wins. They're out. Silent Aces will end up falling under the tower. Silent Reverse picks up 1 though, so 1-for-1 trade in all, but now Solo has made a rotation in. Circuit looking low for his bees, but Fuzzy Wuzzy finds him with the Hieroglyphic Assault. King Arthur trying to do what they can. Can't quite do enough though against 4 members. Dayraven finds it, and this is what I was worried about. They're getting too big for their britches, thinking their lead is more than it actually is. A 3-for-1. Where's the Claws overextend under the tier 1 tower and aren't able to find anything off it. It looked like they started waiting on Big Rick. Like, it was the setup to a great fight. Big Rick comes around from the back. We have Kumbhakana blink in. They cut off the retreat, but Silent Aces went in way too early. And then the immediate response from Humbat was fantastic. Gilly made a fantastic call. Just jump in, fear no evil, try and keep the damage dealers away. This is something which I do quite commonly as well from the solo laner. Whenever in team fights, my response is I can either try and peel off whoever's in front of us, or I can look to get to the back line and stop them doing damage. I'm usually someone who likes to try and look to more stop the damage dealers, and with the big fear no evil, that is exactly what you're looking to do. Force force the Kukulkan away from the fight, give him dodgy opportunities to try and ult, and that's exactly what they're looking for. Is now Jormungandr poked out, put down in the ground. Nice rotation from the Hachi. We're out of the laning phase now, boys. Tier 1 tower finally falls, and where's the claws? Still holding that 2,500 gold lead. Looking to try and put something else in mid. See a bit of a split fight going the way. Humbats again keeping Kukulkan out. I like, but now they're kind of up creek without a paddle. Xbalanque forced away very nicely. Mounted archery turns to fight, but instead goes back around for the Humbats and the Geb, who's locked in place, and all 5 members of Where's the Claws are surrounding and pounding him. Serpent of the Nine Winds doesn't connect, but again pushes away Dayraven and keeps him out of this engagement. Big Rick finds another one, as this whole time Fuzzy was off getting a tier 2 tower. Where's the Claws, though? Looking to try and even this out. They've got minions here. They've got the Heavenly Banner. They're more than capable of pushing this down themselves. Jormungandr's back, and the big ultimate comes out. Big Rick ends up getting taken out by that final judgment. So all in all, a decent return, but the tier 2 tower still falls. And Where's the Claws still come out ahead. Now I'm going to look towards a Pyromancer here, and I'd expect them to go for the full Fire Giant here, because if they don't, they're going to end up finding an awkward situation. There's the call for Pyromancer, and look at this. Dallas Asylum, they picked up the Oni Fury. Embers from Where's the Claw backing, though. I'd be expecting them to come and set up for a Fire Giant here. I'm honestly surprised at this call that they went for here, because if they're not going to go for Fire Giant, get the Oni minions. Oni minions would give them the opportunity to continue going for fire, and maybe they pick up Pyromancer in the process while they're baiting around the Fire Giant. That's totally fine. But to go just for the Pyromancer feels a little strange in my opinion. It's not... I'm not listening in on calls, so maybe it was a case that they didn't feel super confident with ward-wise that they had available to try and go for this Fire Giant. So from that side, I can respect it. But at that point, you've got to be calling, as you're on the tier 2 tower, where are we going, what are we looking for, what kind of things can we look for after. You've not just got to be looking for the stuff after the stuff, you've got to be planning what's the stuff you're getting after the stuff after the stuff. So it's sort of 3 levels. What we're doing at the current moment, we're team fighting. What are we getting after? We'll get the tier 2 tower. We've got the tier 2 tower. Can we look at fire? No, we don't quite have the ward coverage here. Well, Oni's up. Let's go try and take a fight around there. Big Rick's died. All right, we definitely can't go fire. Let's set up around Oni. We've kind of got a lot of gold. Let's back. Let's not all back at the same time. Make sure we don't get away. That planning phase has to be super tight-knit. And Dallas Asylum recognize it, pick it off. Guys, they're going over to Fire Giant. Can we contest it? No, not really. All right, well, let's go Oni Fury then. Well, we've got a ward on Fire Giant anyway, so we'll know if they're going to do it. They didn't do it? Fine. Totally fine. And now we're going to see this Fire Giant dance. Kukulkan left up on their own, gets evaded and punished. Straight in. Tries to throw Serpent of the Nine Winds out to peel, but it's not good enough. Fuzzy Wuzzy finds that one from a nice Blink Cataclysm setup. There's a big Fear No Evil catches 3 members off. Dallas Asylum start taking this because they see that it's a 4v5. So World Serpent comes through. Epic Uppercut as well, trying to divide and cut away the members, but it's not good enough. One falls now already, and it's all down to Big Rick and their Big Rick energy. Members are low. They do get a good bit of damage, but Dayraven finally picks up Silent Aces. 2 for none. All members are still here for Dallas Asylum. They can keep pushing, and if they really feel like it, they could look to try and bait around the Fire Giant. It's still 14 seconds before Silent Rivers is even available, and then he's going to take him another 15 seconds or so to get back. But no, they want this tier 2 tower because Fire Giants respawn. The structures do not. Round the back, Cobra's Kiss is off the mark. Evade and punish, can't quite find enough. One does trade under the tower. It was keeping them busy. They're not going to be able to get in there. I'm surprised they didn't have any real wards available. They could have warded exactly where this ward is right now. That should have been warded before they take this fight. So Dallas Asylum try for something, but can't quite find anything else off it. They get a good fight, and they even the game back up to a negligible gold difference. But that experience difference is still starting to bite them a little bit. 3-level lead in the jungle, and a level lead in mid as well, and solo. All of these have minor intricacies that are going to be benefits. Your abilities are going to hit just that little bit harder. You're going to have just that little bit more health. So I like to see this. Hunters, they're the same level now. They're level 20 and almost full build. So once that's done, totally fine. But It's the supports, it's the levels where, it's the people with levels that don't have level 20 yet. That's where these little things are going to really matter. I am curious to see just how Big Rick plays this. They have gone for the Deathbringer here. Now, while the Deathbane can crit, they're not really in a position to be able to Deathbane on a single person as World Serpent comes through from Foxy Maid. Okay, that's a curious one. I think they were trying to just get in for the Fire Giant, see if they were on it, but that's a confusing one for me here. Now, with this situation, we're back for a Fire Giant dance, though this time, Circuits round the back, gets spotted out, pushed alone. Blink Cataclysm isn't good enough. Fear No Evil might be good for the damage, but it's not quite enough. 7-9 win pushes members around and away, but it's not quite good enough. Now, funneling into the small corridor, Darkest of Nights does work. Sprint comes through, but a 4-man Mez is good, but the Kumbhakana Epic Uppercut hits on the Jormungandr, puts them into the wrong situation. Gilly finds the last hit, and it's all just going Pete Tong for Where's the Claws? A clean pick, well, not necessarily a clean pick, but a nice pick off there from Dallas Asylum. Foxy Maid on the Jormungandr just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Now the Fire Giant's going to be looked at here from Dallas Asylum. There aren't really any ultimates available to steal this away from Where's the Claw, but there are members, and they're not going to want to give this one up without a fight. Jormungandr is low. Dallas do get the Fire Giant, but they already lose one. Big Rick finds Fuzzy Wuzzy in the backside. He actually makes that a double kill, and he picks up Geb, trying to keep off in the continuation. Blinks, leaves the Xbalanque alone, and it might be all going wrong for Dallas Asylum here if they can get away with this, but no! Big Rick Deathbane gets a crit and picks up Dayrave, it's only Gilly who's available with this now. Unfortunate there. Foxy ended up just dying to Fire Giant, and Big Rick, with that Big Rick energy, is not going to give this one up, but he might have to. Gilly makes him sit down and gives him a taunt spam for good measure, but that is Fear No Evil now available, and that's all they had to try and stop on this hold here at this right side Phoenix. Minions now pouring in. Gilly the only one available. This Phoenix is just melting already. And that's all they need it to do. Serpent of the Night went off the mark, and a good somersault gets it away, but the damage has been done. Right side Phoenix has fallen. Silent Ace is pushing up the wave. I actually don't mind this call, given the fact that there are so many members dead. This gives the Kumbhakana a chance to get some levels and get some more experience. He's now got a 2-level lead. Absolutely love it. Also as well, it's pushing up the waves where you need it. It's defending the base where you need it. I love this. I absolutely love this. It's a similar idea to what we've seen from sort of the old Obey Alliance. If Obey get behind and, you know, Pretty Prime gets behind, we put him to split push, we get him farm, we get him to get us to set things up, and we keep him away from the fights. Kumbhakana, well, everyone's dead, we're not gonna fight. Kumbhakana needs experience, we need to push this wave up, let's do it. But maybe a bit of an overextension here. Members from Dallas Asylum aren't gonna let him go for nothing. Though Where's the Claws have started to make their way around this Gold Fury side. What Where's the Claws want to try and do now is up to them. They could look to try and set up a fight around this, though all ultimates are available, so I don't think Dallas Asylum really want to give this one up without a fight. It's only a 5k gold lead, so they are able to, but it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. Around the back, Big Rick looking to try and set someone off. Look how far we see these damage dealers sitting back. Around the back, big Cataclysm, and Mez comes through, but it's not good enough. Dallas Asylum do steal away the Gold Fury, though, so it's a 1-for-1 trade on the gold, but it's not quite enough from the Whirlwind. Gilly picks up another. Big around the back, finds the get, which is good, and now Makamurf trying to cripple and put in good damage, but it's not quite enough. Fuzzy finds it, but Big Rick turns it around, and the poison spread on the last breath. 3 for 3 in exchange, but the Cobra's Kiss is good and shuts it down. Big Rick jumps in on the ambush, but can't quite find Fuzzy. It's a 4 for 4. Only the mages left. Wow. Dallas Asylum and Where's the Claws? This is an explosive game coming out from these two. Neither one wanting to give the other an inch, and even under this 5,000 gold lead, because they were able to steal away the Gold Fury, they're able to decimate that gold lead back down to under 2,000. Sure, Titan took a little bit of poke, but when you're behind, if you're the team that can trade off evenly, that is a good look for the team that is behind. That means you were able to hit harder,
faster, stronger, do more impactful things with your abilities. I'm honestly so surprised that Where's the Claws held on to the Gold Fury as long as they did. They knew where everyone was, and they knew that as soon as Darkest of Night comes out, they have to be expecting a fight. Neither one of the frenzies were popped in that engagement. You've got to use those, like Darkest of Nights, Fear No Evil, Cataclysm. That is the enemy team committing to a fight there. You have to use those abilities. They are set up exactly for that. So we saw Serpent at the Nine Wing come out, try and cut through people. We saw it immediately pick off the Jormungandr, which was great. But where's the follow-up? What's going on with the rest of the team? You need to peel for your carries. Big Rick diving on the backside, fantastic. Makamurth diving on the backside, fantastic. Kumbhakana, at that point, needs to be the one to peel, because now we've seen Gilly multiple times now, and we've seen this from Kukulkan, be in a situation where they're alone and get picked off. We saw it set up around where the Fire Giant was. We saw it was just Fuzzy Wuzzy, immediately recognizing that we have someone without CC immunity or any real CC alone. Talking about being alone without really any CC immunity, though. Forced to beats there, and Jormungandr actually forced into the World Serpent as well with how low they were able to get. Big Rick finds the Xbalanque, puts in huge amounts of damage, but beats Aegis is good. Ambush over the wall to try and find and follow up, and 2 basics is all they need to find them now. Still fighting around on this jungle side here in Dallas Asylum's favor. They are trying to back away now, just trying to get themselves to safety, but with 5 members from Big Rick, from Big Rick available, from Where's the Claws available, including Big Rick pushing up this right-hand side, they're going to look to try and just brute down this mid lane here. There is an Emperor's Armor available. They're still trying to just get some good poke. There's the Frenzy come through, but Fuzzy Wuzzy already picks one up with the ultimate. Silent Aces falls. 7 of the 9 win over on the right-hand side is good, but members from Where's the Claws are just too far out. They try to force down this mid lane, actually doing what they can, but it's not good enough against Fuzzy Wuzzy. Dashes in, tries to find something. It's a 3 for 2 in exchange as Gilly fell over on the left-hand side, 2v1. But it did take Big Rick down with them. Jormungandr fell very low, but this Jade Emperor's and Emperor's Armor are doing work, keeping off the members from Where's the Claws and out of the base. Cuckoo fairly low, and Fuzzy Wuzzy, man. Fuzzy Wuzzy has been playing this beautifully on this though. 11, 3, and 7. Take a quick look at damage done right now. Player damage, 23,000 player damage. That is a lot, and that is the second highest of everyone, including against a Hachiman with an Odysseus's bow and a kin size at this point. This is just absolutely beautiful, the way that this has been played. These Final Judgments, he's been sitting, he was sat just around here. Final Judgments through multiple people at this point, setting off huge amounts of damage here. So, with 30 minutes into this game, it's a 1,000, it's not even 1,000 gold lead, it is a 700 gold lead. And the only thing that Where's the Claws really have to hold it at this point is just the fact that we have a Phoenix down. That's all they have available to them. Dallas Asylum, they've got 2 tier 2 towers they can take. Where's the Claws only have 1. They can swing this right now. Fire Giant is available and is in its enhanced form. The speckling of red wards, though, all around this right-hand side is spectacular. Darkest of Nights forced already. It's definitely a good look now for Where's the Claws. They should be going back for Fire Giant. Pings have come out. I want to see Makamurth sat around the side. I want to see them. I want them on Gilly. You have 2 people in these fights that you need to be paying attention to. Right now, that is Fuzzy Wuzzy and Gilly. Gilly for the fact that you want to make sure that he can't stay in the fights and disrupt them. And Fuzzy Wuzzy because he's just doing so much damage it could steal. They are on the Fire Giant. 1 Frenzy has been used, and they're going to hold it. So they should be good to get it. They will get it and force Fear No Evil as well. Where's the Claw secure it? And Gilly as well, but they will trade off the Oni Fury as well in response. Blink forces Beads and Aegis from Xbalanque, who wasn't able to quite find Big Rick. That's 3 members down. Oni minions are good, but I don't know if they're good enough to hold off 5 members with a Fire Giant pushing down your mid lane Phoenix. I like this call to go for the mid lane. Fuzzy, though, does have to be careful on their positioning. Yorm needs to try and just sit on the back and peel off as best they can. But I don't think they're going to be able to here. Frenzy's been popped for the second time to try and get back in. Jormungandr doing what they can. Final Judgment's off the mark, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Hachi's just continuously pelting autos into the Titan, or into the Phoenix. Jormungandr forced into the World Serpent to get away. Big Rick now, having fallen back from base, is now going to push up, grab the red buff. And where's the Claws? Don't want to take any chances here. They're going to grab this left side tier 2 tower and push down for the Phoenix as well. I really like this call here. Members were coming up from Dallas Asylum. If we take a quick look at excuse me, the gold in hand, we've got, 3k on multiple people, but these relics, man, these frenzies, they're up again. Darkest of Nights comes through, but the Phoenix has fallen. All 3 fall, and a good bit of peel, a little bit more re-aggression. Blink Cataclysm finds 3, and some good damage through. Evade and Punish forward to try and find someone, but they only find the passive of Kumbhakana. Makamurf does overextend a little bit too far. They will find it. Big Rick, though, in mid, took a 1v1 that they weren't able to really follow through with. So I'm surprised here. Where's the Claws? Looked like they just wanted to disengage, but oh, Humbat, sweetie, no. Somersault in. They do get a good bit of damage off, but the peel is there, and this should be their life falling here. Silent finds that one. It's all looking kind of at the end of days here for Dallas Asylum. They're holding on. They do have a last breath here. They've got a second wind with the overextension from Where's the Claws. The question is it a second wind or is it a dying gasp? And I thank you very much to Team 4-star for that one. I do enjoy that line. That's literally that line there. That's Team 4-star. I do this a lot. I pick little things and I like them, and if people pick me up, I say it's a reference, but it's just a great line. It's a great line, so I use it a lot. I also, as well, you'll notice I've not done necessarily as many puns here, mostly just because a good pun requires the setup. I can't throw the ball and knock it out the park at the same time. You need that second person here. So yeah, commentary's been a little different, just for these solo casts. It does also as well to any of the casters from the OCL who are watching this. When I told you I can almost continuously talk for the entirety of a game, I wasn't joking. I will more than happily continuously talk. So I've actually been trying to tone it back in those little points, giving myself a little chance to breathe with this. But no, talking about getting a chance to breathe, that's kind of what Dallas Asylum have had here, but Where's the Claws have bought. They've backed up, they've bought up, and now they're setting up to try and break into the base here. Right side Phoenix is available and sat at about half health, so Where's the Claws do want to try and hold to try and sit around here. Keep an eye again on Fuzzy Wuzzy here. They're full build here, and they're looking to try and put in a good bit of damage. They have also as well, what's interesting, a Spear of the Magus here. I wouldn't mind the Spear of the Magus here. I wouldn't mind seeing that sold off for something else now, considering the way that the rest of the kit works with Darkest Nights comes through, and Final Judgment is off the mark. That's a big win for Where's the Claws if they can weather this storm. Blink forward gets a 3-man mez and beats as well. 7 of the 9 wins. Puts Foxy Maid in an awkward situation. Big Fear No Evil, but around the backside, Big Rick with a Big Rick energy, starting to put members low, and this whole time, minions have been trickling in and poking out the Titan. The last Phoenix falls again as Dayraven ends up in the ground. Another 2-man mez comes through, sending up huge damage with the epic uppercut. Silent Ravine finds that one, and Titan falls. Where's the Claws in 37 minutes? Put this game to bed. All in all, a really decent showing coming out from Where's the Claw. There are a couple of small minor missteps, and Dallas Asylum were good to capitalize on them. They didn't just roll over and die. It was just a slight unfortunate situation where I feel like their draft was a little bit too, we're going to play on the back foot. So we saw Jormungandr versus King Arthur. That's not a lane matchup that really is a loss. It's kind of a stall out. But Foxy Maid still picks up the Guardian's Blessing and still kind of plays it one as, I'm going to lose lane, guys, I'm sorry. They weren't necessarily going to lose. They were totally fine for just holding down the fort there. We saw the whole time Fuzzy Wuzzy was playing fantastically. They were 11-3-8. That's a scoreline that you expect to see on a winning team, but it just wasn't quite able to put that one to bed. Dayraven in mid, again, it was a very awkward situation where the Geb was from behind, Humbats was from behind, and they didn't really do anything early, so they weren't able to find or fight anywhere. So it kind of just felt like the whole time, Where's the Claws just had the option to say, alright, we're going to fight here, we're going to fight here, we're going to fight here. You guys are going to have to respond, and that's fair enough. Sometimes you can counter-engage, but it never felt like there was that. It felt like if they tried to do that, and that's actually what First Blood ended up falling from, is there's a 2v1 in mid. Let's push up and try and kill Kukulkan. But they overextend into the tier 1 tower and die for it because of that. So it's just an awkward situation, and sometimes it felt a little lackadaisical on the use of abilities. So we saw Foxy Maid, again, we're going to Jormungandr ult into the Fire Giant. Oh, they're not on Fire Giant. Well, let's not do that. You could have just not done that. Fuzzy Wuzzy, again, those ults, the Final Judgments, were game-winning and fight-winning ults. So then to see it used so early in a fight just because Darkest of Nights comes through? No, you've got Cataclysms, you've got Fear No Evils you can set up of. You've got to do that. I get that, you know, sometimes you have to freehand it and expect it, you know, expect the unexpected, do something different, but you can't do that. All in all, though, it was good work coming out from Where's the Claws. That is game 1, ladies and gentlemen. And for the sake of YouTube creating content, we're going to split this one up into multiple parts. So, join us next time for game 2 to see whether or not Where's the Claws will put this one to bed in a 2-0, or Dallas Asylum can try and bring it back and send us to a game 3. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been Supersonic Blur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.